and welcome to the Soapbox,
where we talk
and you listen. I'm Matt,
and I'm Ben,
and we're going to be talking about some geeky stuff, some eco stuff, and just a load of stuff.
Absolutely, lots of stuff.
So, kicking it off with, well, should we say, it's a bit of both, really, isn't it?
It is a bit of
what
both.
we're wanting to bring to light.
Yeah.
Well, but already hasn't been brought to light. I think the man himself,
Tony Stark.
Yeah, Tony Stark. Not Elon Musk, Tony Stark. Robert Downey Jr., for those of you who don't know, have opened up or announced the Footprint Coalition.
Indeed.
And Ben, do you want to tell us a bit about that? Yeah,
so I mean, from his announcement, basically Robert Downey Jr. announced a little bit over Twitter and also in a speech. I think it was at it was just a public gathering kind of thing. I can't tell you the exact speech. You'll find out. It'll be fun.
I'll
post
link
it somewhere.
In the description.
But essentially, he got up and he announced that he has the intention to create this Footprint Coalition, which is going to be launched in April of 2020. But he said, with all the nanotechnology that we have in today's world, with all the engineering, all the different things that we have in terms of technology and robotics, there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to reduce our carbon footprint on the world. He believes that he should be able to make a decent chunk, if not completely eradicate it, within the next 10 years. Which is obviously quite a lofty goal. Some dude comes in and just decides, you know what? Well, I'm going to change the world right here. We're not going to have a carbon footprint. Global warming is going to end. I know governments all over the place have said that we need to set a goal that's a 50-year goal, and many countries in Europe certainly haven't gotten anywhere close to their targets just yet. But I don't know if anyone can do it.
Yeah, he can. And I mean, I saw recently actually he did a shout out to a girl called Paige Winters, who was recently, I don't know if you heard about it, she was in a shark attack and she's lost limbs from it. Yeah. But Robert Downey Jr. shouted out and he's going to help her with this coalition and find out with robotics, might be able to help out, build some robot limbs, which is, I think, it's crazy that we're getting to the point in history where people are getting cybernetics and exoskeleton things. I've heard there's talk in Japan of making exoskeletons so the elderly can walk around more, but people can carry on working longer. So manual labour will carry on. Yeah, which is phenomenal, really, when you think about it. If you think this is sci-fi that people have dreamed up for years now, and it's becoming real. Absolutely. Before we know it, we're going to be in Blade Runner then. Tears in the rain. Yeah. I mean, it's incredible. Technology is advancing at an incredible rate. I think a lot of people probably feel like it's slowed down after the last number of years. We've got the internet's come along, and then no major leaps and bounds have come along. But then we've just got in these crazy philanthropists, these crazy people who are really, really interested in furthering society in a significant way. Elon Musk, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, and just dropped his name. Obviously, he's working towards having all these Tesla cars, which are just going to be completely energy efficient, not running on fossil fuels, but electric. I mean, they already are. I mean,
they are.
The problem
they
with
are.
It now
but
is
it's just getting
the expenses
everywhere.
Exactly. They've got the Model S, they've got the Model 3, which was meant to be a Model E, but isn't because of Ford, and the Model X, which is, if you can spell sex. So it's S3X. Elon Musk, just a guy like that, but he's trying to develop
his flamethrowers, his rockets, and his boring company. Yeah. There's a lot.
There's a lot, yeah. And I mean, it's incredible what he is working towards. I mean, I believe he's also interested in nanobots and nanites and things like that, which, I mean, when you look at some of the people in the world, I mean, we like superheroes and stuff, but Elon Musk could be the next Iron Man because of the technology he's researching too.
But now he's got competition from the actual Iron Man.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Robert Downey Jr. has stepped up. Obviously, he's gotten a massive paycheck from Endgame. He's been incredibly significant over the entire of the MCU, and so he's definitely got the money to show for that. And now he's trying to reinvest it into society to do something incredible. Yeah,
but also another player has joined the battle. Did you hear about Adam Savage?
What? It's the guy
Adam Savage from Mythbusters.
Yeah. Who
He's
made the
built
Iron Man
Man suit.
I did see that.
It's
I
a bit
haven't
crazy.
watched the video, Is it legit? Like,
It's sort of legit. It's so you've seen jetpacks and things.
Yeah.
It's pretty much that, but it looks like an Iron Man suit,
right?
and it works. He's got like 3 thrusters around each arm,
Yeah.
and he uses that to propel himself.
Okay.
But it's pretty, yeah.
But
It's interesting.
have you seen like the Hacksmith?
I've heard of them. YouTube.
The
they've done a few
Hacksmith. So
things.
he's been around for a long time now, and like he was working by himself. Now he has a workshop. He has a ton of other people. He's just someone who's like really good at engineering. But he started out with doing some technology and some bits and pieces that he was trying to make like an Iron Man suit too.
Yeah.
So he had like these, thrusters and propeller and things like that. And I mean, he makes anything that comes out of comic book movies nowadays. He's pretty cool.
Yeah, which is, it's so weird how close we're getting to science fiction.
Oh man,
I mean,
yeah, it is wild.
We should probably say before we forget, actually, this Footprint Coalition. Now it's nothing about right now other than they've got a newsletter on the website.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
the website is basically blank. But if you are interested, no, not if you're interested. If you care about the planet, if you want to just stay living, you
Yeah.
should just sign up to the newsletter because
Absolutely, just
honestly,
follow
every
it.
little helps.
Yeah, and support them and what they're doing, because obviously it's something that benefits every single one of us and the generations to come. It's something that is really, really important for everyone moving forward. And so, I mean, signing up to a newsletter doesn't cost you anything.
Exactly.
But, at least you can hear about what's happening and when it all comes out.
Yeah, it's better. And I suppose it is better to be in the know because we've mentioned Tesla. The problem with it, I think, is that electric cars have been shunned over the years. People have said, "Oh, well, they're not real cars," and we've had electric cars for decades now.
Yeah, we have.
And they just haven't been picked up. And it's only now that they're getting the technology where they can travel for miles. And I know, like, there's a new model of the Nissan that's been released, and it can go further than like the Zoe can.
Yeah, it's more and more common to have cars that have a range of over 200 miles, 300 miles, and so on.
Yeah.
Like, it's just getting better and better.
And I suppose when you live, especially England,
Mm-hmm.
small country, Britain, you can travel about in it.
Yeah.
If you've got an electric car, all you need is a charger every few motorway stops.
Yeah.
And you're all right. I mean, I know there's one going up to Glasgow. You can stop off and you charge your car up Tesla points.
Yeah.
But
and I've been up and down to the south quite a few times in the last couple of weeks. I went down to where was it? I went to London twice, and then I went over to Solihull a couple of times as well. And just going on the way down there, every single pit stop, every service station has electric charging points.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Every single one. And when you get into London, when you get into a lot of these cities, in public car parks even, they have these charging points. And quite close to where we live, Chorley, if you go into the Asda car park there's electric power points.
Oh, that's brilliant.
They are everywhere. They're getting so popular.
And yeah, I think it's just something. I think it is. It's amazing that because there's been the trend of like cleaning up the beaches and anything like that. The trash tag trend.
Yeah.
That is something that we've been needing for years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, litter bugs, they're everywhere. You know, everyone knows someone. You know, I mean, the amount of times you go out and you see just cigarettes on the floor, chewing gum on the floor, things like that, and you just got to clean up the streets. It's just something people need to do. I know people get paid for it, but when it's genuinely affecting nature, and I think people are only just waking up to it now.
Yeah.
We've known about it, but the general public hasn't really give a shit. Like, it's sad to say, but at least now it's getting noticed and it's being brought about.
And I think it gets more and more prominent as the current generation grows up too.
Yeah.
Because obviously a lot of people have a lot of negative things to say about kind of the millennial generation.
Yeah.
But if there's anything to be said for them, they're a generation that cares.
Yeah.
Even if it's a little bit too much sometimes, even if people feel like, oh, well, they get anxious about everything or silly about everything, they care about almost any cause that you're willing to put down in front of them.
Definitely.
And something like global warming, something like making sure that we reduce carbon emissions around the world is something that we can all get behind. We really support. It's really interesting in this country actually because our Prime Minister, who won't be Prime Minister for much longer, she recently made a pledge to say that we should reduce our carbon emissions to absolute zero by 2050. And obviously that's quite a long way off.
Yeah.
And then the Labour Party recently was like, oh, we can do better than that. And they were like, we'll do it in 11 years. So they want to do it by 2030. Well, I mean, it's it's crazy that we have that goal now to accomplish, to reduce carbon emissions to zero. Because it wasn't 50 years ago that people were like, oh, well, we need to get it down, but we can't reduce it to nothing.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, the thing because when I saw that and it was 2050, I thought to myself, bloody hell, I'll be an old man by then.
Yeah.
My kids will be grown up by then.
Yeah.
I don't want my kids to have to grow up in a world where they're still working at it.
Yeah.
I'd want it to be done by the time I'm old.
Exactly.
And it's...
Because it needs to turn around now.
Yeah.
Like, there's been some statistics and some different reports that have come out. I don't know how genuine they are, but obviously there's a lot of scare tactics and things like that. But there's people that say the damage that has been done to the atmosphere will be irreversible within the space of, 15 years.
Yeah.
And then there's people that also say, oh, well, maybe the atmosphere will just burn up by 2050.
Yeah.
If that's the case, if we're achieving this goal by 2050, it's too late.
Yeah.
It needs to happen sooner. And exactly as the people in the public eye have said, it can be done.
Yeah.
We've got the resources. We've got solar energy. We've got tidal energy. We've got wind power. All of them may be a little bit seasonal, but there's no reason you can't do all three and then have power banks.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's not even just saving the planet. It's saving the human race, really. Because if you think how old the planet is, we've only been in around for the blink of an eye.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
And the world is ancient, and it's seen so many different phases. And I mean, look back, how long ago the dinosaurs were, how different the world was. It was, the continents that we have today didn't even exist, and yet. So there's been, tidal shifts and dozens of ice ages and the sort, and yet
but
we are the only ones that we know of that have made such an impact on the planet. We don't, I mean, obviously we don't know, but from our telling of history, we're the first people to make skyscrapers. We're the first creatures to develop, cures for diseases and things like that.
Yeah.
Just vehicles in general. No other species that we know of has done that, and we're sort of the ones that have risen up from the animal kingdom. We've started destroying the world. We're taking away from it.
Yeah.
And we need to try and, rather than not just give back, we need to stop.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
try and reverse the damage that we've done. Because I mean, them fossil fuels, it's going to take thousands of years for them to go back. I mean, it'll be us lot that will be the fossil fuels.
Yeah.
And I mean, you look
Chilling thought.
Yeah, it is a bit worrying, isn't it? Because it's the reason we've got so many is because of all the dinosaurs that died so long ago and all the the ocean life and everything. But we can't do that if all of it's if you cull all off the sea life, then you're not going to get the cycle of getting any of the oil, getting any of the coal or anything. Those fossil fuels, they're going to be gone. They're a finite resource. Yeah. The only reason that they keep coming, we keep discovering more of it is because of the cycle of life and death.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, it's impressive because it's always needed the people that are in positions where they're capable of helping others to step forward and do that.
Yeah.
Exactly like you said, we're a very advanced civilization. We've gotten to the point where we can do all these amazing things. We've been able to do all these things for quite some time now, if we're honest. A lot of the investments, a lot of the resources that we've had have been poorly directed.
Yeah.
But now, there's some good people, some kind people, and some people with the actual position and authority and ability to step up and do something about it, and they want to.
Yeah, exactly.
That's incredible.
It's not about looking back in anger and saying, oh, well, they could have done something back then differently. It's about looking forward and saying, no, I'm going to take a different path to fix the wrongs of the past.
Only thing that you can change the future. So, there's no point in, fussing about what was done wrong. So, but it's definitely something really, really, really incredible. So, we definitely encourage everyone that's listening, anybody that gets a chance, just check out the Footprint Coalition, sign up for the newsletter, and just see where it takes us, because I'm sure it's going to be an exciting ride. And
I'll have put something on Twitter, and if this is on YouTube, then it'll be in the description, everything. There'll be links there. It's just, I mean, Robert Downey Jr., compared to us, he's incredibly famous, Yeah. He's top of the top.
He doesn't need us to,
exactly.
promote him, does he?
Some people might not have heard. I mean, chances are, if you're listening to this, then you have heard, but even if you haven't, I mean, it's a little rant, but at least it brings awareness, you know?
Absolutely.
Crazy. So what's been happening then? We've got a few things coming up. Well, everyone has. We've got some films coming out.
Yeah.
Re-release.
Definitely.
Big one. Endgame, which recently actually took over Avatar in highest sales, was it?
For its first release, it's overtaken Avatar now.
Yeah.
So Avatar, obviously, with its re-release, was able to get more sales, but now Avengers has finally beat out its original sales. Its first release. Which obviously is a big milestone. Yeah.
Especially, I mean, it's crazy how, in the past few years, how big superhero films, I mean, it seems every other month there's a new superhero film coming out, expanding like the Marvel universe. You've got the TV series and all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so they're just expanding, and now it seems, especially since the part of Disney and all that, they're just at the top.
And the longevity of it has been super impressive as well. I mean, like, things kicked off in 2008 for Marvel, but obviously before that even they kind of were getting into a good position.
Yeah.
Not in terms of Marvel movies. Let's not talk about the Incredible Hulk movie. Obviously that's... I don't know your feelings about that, but I'd rather not, you know? But, I mean, there was Batman. That whole series really, really was something changed the game for superhero movies. And then...
Especially,
with Iron Man... it just kind of kicked off in a whole different direction.
Yeah, and I think, well, the turn of the century as well, especially for comic books, changed a lot of things. I mean, you had Marvel kicked it off by doing the Ultimate series, so they had Ultimate X-Men, they did a little bit of Ultimate Thor. One of the big ones, though, is Ultimate Spider-Man, which is still quite popular today, and which moved on eventually to Miles Morales, who is now just Spider-Man himself.
Yeah.
But with that, you know, Sam Raimi did Spider-Man trilogy, and two of them pretty good films.
I really like those. I really like the Sam Raimi trilogy. I like those a lot.
They've got that especially.
Venom was weird. We can all accept Venom was weird, but I mean, you know.
Yeah, it's got that comic book panel feel though. Watching the actual film, when you see shots of Spider-Man swinging around.
Yeah.
And it seems like he really focused on it trying to look like a comic book. So I don't know if you know. A few years before Spider-Man, Sam Raimi actually did, is it Darkman? We'll up in a minute.
Darkman?
Yeah, Darkman. So it's a small comic and it's proper weird, but he's like some scientist and he gets, like, his deformed face basically. And so he has to wear rags all the time and he can't go out in the sunlight or else he like starts burning and all this lot. But if you watch the film, there's like certain instances where he starts like doing all these formulas and stuff, and so he develops it where he can wear someone else's face, but over like 24-hour period or something, the face melts away. So he basically becomes other people. Wow. Which is a weird thing because he never goes back to just properly being himself. You'd think he'd just shoot himself up with his own. Anyway, Sam Raimi did a film of that, and he did two films, which is mental. They didn't do very well.
Well, I've never heard of it. No.
Yeah. So if you watch it, it was on like I don't know ITV4.
Okay.
A while back at like midnight, and I sat and watched a bit of it.
Yeah.
But you've got it in. He's like designing all these like chemical formulas and stuff, and it's pretty much like scene to scene the same as when Tobey Maguire designs the Spider-Man suit. So you see him like writing it down, and the music is
like,
very reminiscent.
the fade over and everything like that.
And so when you watch it, it's like it's very. You can see he was already getting a feel for making a superhero film because Darkman is a superhero.
That's cool.
So it was 1990 that the film came out.
Wow.
And Liam Neeson, that's it.
No way.
Neeson was played
Darkman.
Yeah. And it's
he's been in some shocking films, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, how many Takens have they filmed now? But yeah, I mean, to be fair, looking at it just now, checking up, got 84% on Rotten Tomatoes, 6.4 out of 10 on IMDb, 65% Metacritic. Apparently 90% of users like the film. It's not a good film. I mean, I've watched it and it was definitely Sam Raimi, because Sam Raimi's he has that sort of horror feel to his films, doesn't he? He's got like a dark side to it for, especially, Darkman. And I mean, he's done a load of stuff, hasn't he? Like other than Spider-Man, he did Evil Dead, for instance, which is like very well known. Yeah, it's just a weird segue, I suppose.
Well, I feel like a lot. It's a good point that like the Sam Raimi kind of Spider-Man movies did kick off a lot of those things at the turn of the century. Because I mean, before that, there's not many movies that I can remember that made it look as real and as impressive as that Spider-Man movie. Like I can remember from when I was really young and I'd watch it on TV. Obviously, there was the cartoons which were amazing.
Yeah.
But then you also had like
Spider-Man, radioactive. Yeah, that was a good one.
Absolutely. But then you also had the live action ones, and every single live action one looked like basically Sam Raimi's Spider-Man before he actually gets a proper suit. When he goes into the wrestling room and he's like got, the jumper and the stupid mask over his head. That was the official Spider-Man uniform for all those live action TV series and like movies prior to that. And I remember seeing those, and it was weird, like seeing Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man and seeing the costume in the way that it was meant to look really, really kind of changed it. And there wasn't too many movies that did that.
Yeah, well, I know, especially as well, I think Leonardo DiCaprio was originally cast for Tobey Maguire's role as Peter Parker, which is really weird because it wasn't going to be...
It'd be so different.
Yeah. It was going to be a different sort of take of Spider-Man as well. And it's crazy because, I mean, starting off with saying, Spider-Man turning the century and everything. Yeah. And now in the Ultimate Comics of Ultimate Spider-Man, there's one issue where Peter Parker, Spider-Man swinging through the city, and there's like been Spider-Man merchandise that's been released, and he says like, oh, they're making a film of me, which is direct advertisement for the Sam Raimi film.
Yeah.
So he swings down and he meets Tobey Maguire and he like starts doing things on set with them and everything like that. It's so weird. He like gives a read through the script and then he like swings off, and it's so weird because it's like blatant advertisement for the film.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's like, and now look, with nearly 20 years later, and Spider-Man still top of the game, second in all superheroes to probably Batman. I mean, he's got a lot of publishing, and just everywhere you see it's either Spider-Man or Batman.
Yeah, definitely.
I think with the way DC's sort of steamrolling downhill at the moment,
crashing and burning.
Yeah, they're not doing too well. Spider-Man still, he's had ups and downs, but he's still at the top. You've had the game last year, got Far From Home coming out next week for us.
Absolutely, yeah.
So depending on when this gets out, it probably will be already out.
Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned before, you said about the advertisement and stuff. So they've already done a lot of like Tom Holland.
A lot of the press tours, a lot of the different interviews. So Tom Holland and the other guys. Oh man, it's bad that I can't remember their names.
Jake Gyllenhaal and
Zendaya, Jake Gyllenhaal. I know their names. I mean his other friends. Jacob, Joshua.
No, it does begin with a J.
It does, because I've watched some of those interviews today.
I've watched some. I was watching.
Do you know what? I
earlier.
was watching one today that was like the Google search, where they go on and they go through the questions. Wired's Google search.
And he only had about 6.
He had so few questions.
Yeah,
it was really embarrassing. Jacob?
Yeah, Jacob. Batalon, I think it is.
Batalon, that's the one, yeah. So, like, him, Tom Holland, and Zendaya were all together doing the Google search questions. They were pulling apart the things, and then whenever it came to Jacob's turn, he had, like, 3 on a sheet. Yeah, whereas the other 2 had full sheets, and I was just like, ah.
But then, I suppose that's the thing. I don't know too much about... Jacob,
to be fair,
he hasn't been in much stuff other than Spider-Man.
Exactly. I was just about to say. I mean, he only spent, 30 seconds on screen in Infinity War, and then he had, a good bit of time in Homecoming. But, it's impressive for what he's got, I guess.
I mean, Tom Holland, he grew up pretty much in Broadway. He's done, like, Billy Elliot, things like that.
Was that Broadway, or was that... I thought it was the West End. Did it go to Broadway as well?
West End, sorry, yeah, it would have been. But he's theatre acting and things, and his dad's
absolutely.
Already successful anyway.
Yeah.
And so he just brought it up.
And then Zendaya with Disney.
And Zendaya, she'd done, like, songs and stuff like
quite
that.
Popular, yeah.
And so she was, on the American side of it, already, like, sort of a household name, but then...
I think Jacob's making a good name for himself. I think people are really enjoying him so far. He's good.
Yeah, especially to go in, like, I mean, Tom Holland, he's got acting experience. Obviously, he's not like Robert Downey Jr. or like Mark Ruffalo, someone like that.
Even though he's trying to be.
Yeah.
Did you see him on the red carpet?
Yeah, the one where he's saying what is it you're referring to? So I know I'd seen one where he's talking about Robert Downey Jr. like texting him and things like that. And he had
quite a lot where he's talking about like calling or texting Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I wish I could be like him. I called him earlier and he was on a yacht having like a holiday, and I was like, oh, that's cool. No, I'm talking about when he was walking down the red carpet and they were taking pictures of him, and he's in this like, it's like the whole getup is burgundy, okay? Like his top, his trousers, and his shirt underneath, and then his Robert Downey Jr. glasses. But like, it's not a proper suit jacket either. It's like a sweater.
Right, yeah.
Like it has like the zip pockets. It looks like it's part of a tracksuit.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But it's a suit. So I was like, man, that feels totally, you know.
Yeah, he's sort of trying to
RDJ. I guess it's his mentor. It's cool. I like it.
And I suppose, especially if you're...
Does that mean he's going to be the next Iron Man?
Well,
I mean,
maybe.
You know.
I don't know.
It's a big question.
Yeah, could be. I mean, with the end of Endgame.
Yeah.
Not Infinity War.
You got it.
Iron Lad, you think that's going to be a thing? There's rumours of that.
Iron Lad. He's Spider-Man. Why would he have to be Iron Lad?
Oh no, I mean the other kid from Spider-Man, from Iron Man 3. Sorry.
Right.
There's sort of rumours, theories that because he was at the funeral, he's older now. He's almost been reintroduced. He was at the red carpet for Endgame.
Harley was his name, wasn't it? So he could be. He totally could be. But I think they have a lot to focus on right now. I don't know if we'll see him anytime soon. To be honest.
I think with the age that he is now, because he's got to be in his late teens.
Yeah.
I mean, he could become Iron Lad, but I think with it only just this year that Robert Downey Jr. has left, taking up the mantle of Iron Lad probably wouldn't happen yet. I think it would take place in a year or a few years' time. Yeah,
definitely. I think they want to give it time to kind of settle down. Because right now, everybody's mourning Iron Man. It's not like a dog. If they die, you can't just go out and buy a new one.
Yeah. No.
It's not okay.
But I mean, in the comic books, pretty much what happens.
I know.
You get Tony Stark just comes back as AI hologram uploaded.
Yeah.
I mean, we already see with Vision and Ultron, he's already getting to the point where he's trying to perfect AI. He could have his own conscience uploaded and then already be Iron Man. I mean, it wouldn't be the same though, because I feel like in the comic books it's different. You can just have that, but then having a whole film where, because you've with superhero films, you've got the 50-50. You've got the normal life in the suit. I mean, more so for like Spider-Man, where he is, he's got to keep his identity. Tony Stark's always out there, but having a film of fully Iron Man in the suit, and then when he comes out of it, he's a hologram, wouldn't exactly work. He wouldn't have like his Achilles heel of like the alcoholism and things like that. Wouldn't work if he's a hologram because he wouldn't need it.
Yeah,
so he
exactly.
wouldn't have any downsides. So I think as a character, I know because I've seen it being theorized that they might do that. I don't think that would be the path that Marvel would want to take, especially seeing as they won't be able to have a developed character within that.
True, and arcs are important in their stories, so I think maybe a hologram certainly wouldn't do the same job. But especially with that, and also like the real life component, obviously they have to work with these actors and plan out what they're gonna do. If they have an 8-movie contract, they have to figure out what they're doing with that. I mean, Anthony Mackie, obviously he's, they've very, very heavily leaned towards showing that he's gonna be the next Captain America, maybe Captain Falcon. I don't know how they're gonna play with that. But also, because he's going to be in a TV series alongside Sebastian Stan, now they're trying to reconfigure how his contract is going to work. Because obviously, I think as a standard majority of the time, they offer like an 8-movie contract. But now he's also going to be in a TV series. So, there's a lot of elements that go into really working with these characters and making sure that they can develop them over a period of time on screen.
Next film, Spider-Man Far From Home, you've got Mysterio.
Absolutely.
With him being...
And right now, there's some things that have been revealed about Mysterio, but for a lot of it, it's kind of like a little bit shady.
Well,
is he from another world? Is he from an alternate dimension?
Well, the
is he just lying? I mean, Mysterio is a trickster.
Mysterio.
He's a trickster. So who knows what is going to happen?
I mean, I think the whole thing with Mysterio is they're trying to play it off as... Because Tom Holland and Jake Gyllenhaal are good friends. they've got that buddy sort of bromance sort of thing going on, and I think they're trying to play it up in the film. And offset, they're like saying, "Oh yeah, Mysterio, he's this guy that
he's
comes along.
He's a good guy in it.
Yeah.
You know, it's great.
But it's.
I don't buy it.
No, it's Mysterio. There's no way you can. Yeah. It's gonna be, oh, he's a good guy, and then he turns at the last minute, or this whole time he's been playing everyone.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
If they do it, that he's been playing everyone. Gonna make Nick Fury look like a fool unless Nick Fury knows not to trust him.
Yeah, you know what? I don't even know if they're gonna reveal what his true intentions are in this movie, though.
Yeah,
like introducing him, we've both said that we don't believe that he's a good guy in all this. You know,
there's no way.
Jake Gyllenhaal and Tom Holland are trying to sell it as, yeah, he's introduced as a good guy. He's changed from the comic books. It's great, but I don't know. Like, this is the close. This is the official close of Phase 3.
Yeah,
and this is where they're going to be introducing Phase 4. You know, so potentially this is the way that they could establish who the big bad is going to be for Phase 4, who's going to be the overlying enemy. You know, a lot of people have talked about how much they'd like it to be Doctor Doom, or how much they'd like it to be a Sinister Six kind of situation.
Yeah.
You know what? The MCU is getting bigger and bigger, and Mysterio is a smart guy. In any iteration that he's had, he's intelligent. You know, if there's anything to be said about him, he knows how to play people. And if he wants to work his way into the now kind of, you know, a little bit unstable Avengers after the events of Endgame, Peter Parker is a pretty good way at going about that. You know, Nick Fury is a good way at going about that. So is he going to reveal himself in this movie? I don't know. I think there's a good chance that he might not. I think we could get to the end of the movie and maybe almost be convinced ourselves that he's a good guy.
Yeah.
And maybe they won't even give that impression. And then a little bit down the line, he plays all of us.
And I mean, you've seen in Spider-Man Homecoming, the Avengers Tower, Stark Tower, was sold.
Yeah.
And you see in the trailer for Far From Home, it's going under construction work, almost nearly done. Which a lot of people are saying Oscorp has bought it. Norman Osborn has bought it. And what's going to happen is this new tower seems to have similar structure to it, but it could even be introduction for the Dark Avengers.
Yeah.
So, which could be an interesting sort of play on things. I wouldn't mind seeing that if they had something like that. Or it could lead on to some kind of sort of spin-off of the Sinister Six or something like that. Because, I mean, well, the Sinister Six, they're sort of like the counter-Avengers for Spider-Man, you know. It's all his worst enemies together. And we've already seen, well, we've got Vulture, we've now got Mysterio, we've seen Scorpion, we've seen Shocker. Shocker being sort of a D-list villain, but... He's still there. They're building up the Spider-Verse sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
So it all depends on where they're going to take it.
And you know what? Some people might think I'm kind of crazy in saying this, but I don't know. In my eyes, I trust Kevin Feige more than I trust my doctor. And what I mean by that is, so far, casting has been incredible. Storylines have been incredible. The way that they've tied things together has been absolutely immense. Now that they're re-releasing the movie, some people are like, oh, well, that's a bit of a marketing ploy. Everyone knows it's a marketing ploy. They want to be number one. Who wouldn't want to be number one? Everything that he has done has been just perfect, in my opinion. So I don't know. I get so excited about every Marvel movie that's to come and everything that his name is on, because so far I just feel like he's just done nothing but good things for the entire universe.
Yeah.
It's great.
So there's been a reimagining of New Spider-Man. 2018 started coming out, Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And they've been doing a recent last arc, which is... Well, I said reimagining already, but it's a reimagining of Kraven's Last Hunt. So it's the story of Kraven, his clone sons, and one of his sons rising to power, and becoming the new Kraven. He's captured up all these enemies, and it's got all animal enemies. So everyone from Black Cat, you've got the Lizard's son, Spider-Man in there now in a black suit because of Kraven drugged him.
Okay.
A raging Lizard, Dr. Connors.
Yeah.
And it's all of these sort of battling it out within each other against these crazy big game hunters that are all these, rich folk that go out and go into Africa and do the ivory,
Yeah, definitely.
And so they're there just killing each other pretty much. But it's the new run has changed. It's trying to loop back round, get Spider-Man back to basics. And he's starting up. He's trying to start up a relationship back with Aunt May. No one remembers who he is because of Doctor Strange's weird spell that wiped minds of everyone.
Incredible magic.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
if you can do that, what can't he do?
What do heroes have to worry about when there's Doctor Strange?
Exactly.
Solid.
But it's introducing a few new characters. One thing I think is definitely hard these times with comic books is they've been around for so long, and there's like the Sinister Six or the Savage Six. You've got characters like Vulture, Rhino, Mysterio. You've got, Doc Ock, Green Goblin. They've been around for so long, and they keep coming back, but there's no one new. Well, at the moment, this current arc it's introduced the new Kraven. Basically, old Kraven dies, and he's killed by his son, and his son takes up his mantle as his successor. But also it introduces this strange character called the Centipede, I believe, is being referenced as, but we don't fully have a name yet.
Yeah.
And so it's this weird centipede-looking creature in like rags that has popped up around the place. It sent Mysterio insane, and he was like in a courtroom, and everyone started dying and things like that. And he's just been going around causing serious problems. One of them is Spider-Man started having dreams, and he's scared about Mary Jane. He thinks Mary Jane's hurt herself, and he thinks that whatever this is coming to get them. But then it alludes that there's something to do with Peter Parker and Centipede having to be together, like some desire for them either to be one or something like that. You don't know what it means, and it's real weird, but it's an interesting turn of events as the current writer Nick Spencer is tying up all the loose ends that Dan Slott had done that a lot of people weren't too happy about.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely a new arc for Spider-Man, and it's got good art. The art changes a little bit, but it's sturdy. The writing is really good, and there's one or two spin-offs in there, and it's also opened up. I don't know if you knew this before, but Black Cat is actually getting her own spin-off series.
Oh wow! Cool.
And this introduction of it is sort of her own sort of thing.
I mean, it's not something that I've looked very deeply into, the new Spider-Man comics, but certainly from what little I've seen, the artwork, as you say, is incredible. It looks really, really nice. And for people like us, we haven't been reading comics the whole way down since the Golden Age. It's really, really nice to have a refresh on it. Just, hit that refresh button and see it start again. So right now it's only on issue 25.
Yeah,
25. Issue 25, 26 coming out soon, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something worth getting into and just checking over.
Yeah. And it's amazing. It's Amazing Spider-Man.
I'll check it out.
Yeah. Because from what I've heard is they're going to introduce the X-Men to the MCU, and they might be cutting off the X-Men from the comics for a little while.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is something crazy, because I know...
Definitely crazy. I mean, one of the newer comics that I've been reading, and obviously you said that you've just kind of checked out, is a brand new one from Rob Liefeld, the creator of Deadpool. He's just designed this new character, and he's just going through his first six issue series for Major X.
Yeah.
And so I've been reading that. I just finished issue 5 today, and then issue 6 has just been sent to my house, so I'll read that soon. But I mean, it's a brand new character. He is the son of Cable, Nathan Summers, and essentially, I mean, there's not an awful lot of detail that we get about him. It seems like this whole series, this whole run of comic books, this little 6-issue one is just kind of an introduction to a brand new kind of world.
Yeah.
Because this guy, Major X, he is from a little place called the X-Istance, and it's run by a guy called the X-Entral, and there's a lot of references to X people in general, But it seems like a pretty good run. There's a lot of questions that are left in it right now. I don't think everything's going to get tied up in the next issue. So I think they are just introducing this character, and then they're going to see where they go with it. But it seems to be a very new direction for the X-Men, at least.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, with Major X, it's something like he's from another reality, or something that this X
kind of another reality. Essential.
Essential. So he made this whole world, but it's also within Atlantis.
Mm-hmm.
It's like above Atlantis, and so you've got like
the
family of Namor, but the world's being destroyed because this guy is weakening.
Yeah.
And so the Atlanteans are really annoyed about it because they're like, you're destroying our world now. Why do we have to suffer if you have to suffer?
I mean, the idea behind it is it takes place in the future. Obviously, the current series of issues that they have, the current Cable they have is, within our kind of timeline. Whereas this series seems to take place further along, much further along, because obviously this is Cable's son. He's quite a bit older. He's grown up. He's, a man now. And what's happened is things have gotten to a breaking point. As you said a little while ago, in the comic book, certainly the mutants and humans have never really cohabitated perfectly. But it seems like at this person, Major X's kind of point of maturity, things have hit a breaking point. And so people are done with mutants. They don't want to have anything to do with them anymore. Sentinels have become this massive, massive thing. Sentinels have all come and they're trying to wipe out everybody. So this guy, the Essential, grabs all the mutants he can, and then also the Atlanteans, and then takes them into this alternate reality, the Existence. And so he takes them and he puts the Atlanteans, they're not in Atlantis, but they're making their own community in this kind of like sea that's there. But the Essential, he's trying to sustain this whole community with all his power, because he's just made it.
Yeah.
This entire alternate reality. The Atlanteans aren't happy because they don't feel their quality of life is all that great. The people that are around in general seem to be kind of struggling, and it's obvious that the Essential is wearing out. So they don't know what's going to happen with it. That's why Major X travels back in time to our time, tries to get his father's help, so he tries to find Cable and tries to see what can happen from there, and everything takes place after that. It introduces a lot of kind of unusual characters, a lot of takes on characters that we're familiar with, but there's a little bit of a variant to it, and so that isn't entirely explained yet either. But it's certainly interesting to follow along, and I'd like to see where it goes.
Yeah, what I found pretty funny about, I mean, I don't know too much about like Namor and like the Atlantis of the MCU or the Marvel universe, but one thing I found pretty funny is, so they talk about in one point there's an Atlantis like guard called, I think he's called Shark Skin or something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
And he has a fight with Major X, and he's like this big bulky shark guy.
Yeah.
But then he's like, oh, but you didn't realise there's someone else here the whole time, and like another guy comes out called Eel, but then he calls him brother, which means are they related, or is it just like brother as in like because they're both
just
Atlanteans?
Be an Atlantis
but it makes me wonder, in Atlantis, like how do you have one kid that turns out being a shark and one kid that turns out being an eel? Is it like the mutants where it's just a random thing? You'd think that you'd have a whole set of like shark-like people, and then a whole set of like eel-like people, and pufferfish people. But do you just like you have triplets, and one of them's a shark, one of them's a killer whale, and one's like a dolphin? Like
maybe they just have two different dads. Maybe it's not that complicated.
Yeah,
who knows?
It all seems a bit weird. But then you get the ones like Namor and his kids, and they're just they're just blue people.
I don't understand why they're blue. I don't know where that came in either, because obviously he's just
he's got normal skin.
Yeah.
But shark skin and eel. Yeah. Just a bit. I don't know.
Undertow. Don't forget about Undertow.
Undertow. I don't remember that one.
Yeah.
Were they like the chief guard or something? Who is that guy? There was a blonde chief guard.
There's a lot to follow along. I think it's just going to take a couple of rereads. I think they're definitely just establishing, where the series is going, and I really, really am looking forward to seeing where it kind of takes, what direction it's going to go. Because it's certainly, like, it's the first time we're seeing a new character that is, like, a wholly new character.
Yeah, for a good while, yeah.
And so, I think it's exciting for us, because certainly the golden age of comics happened a long time ago. A lot of new characters were introduced then, and everything was really impressive. New villains came up all the time.
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely something else to pull from, and because he's from the future, because he's from this different existence, there's a whole bunch of new characters that need to be introduced with him.
Yeah.
So I think it is something to definitely keep an eye on. But we've spent a lot of time on Marvel so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's so much of Marvel.
It's just so good.
Yeah. It's just
so incredible.
I mean, the expanded universe that they've created for it is just so huge, and it is, like we say, everywhere. You got the Marvel game coming up, E3 this year. Wow.
2 new Marvel games. So we've got with E3 they had a lot of disappointing announcements, but they've also announced the new Avengers. Is it Avengers Assemble or is it just the new Avengers?
The game?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I heard someone. I think it was called Avengers a Day or something like that. Someone said, or a day, but yeah. So
it could be because that's certainly with the trailer in E3. That is what kind of happened. A Day was this celebration. The Avengers were a well-established team. It's a completely alternate universe to the ones that have taken place in comic books so far, and also in the MCU. This was completely independent and new. So A Day, all the Avengers have been around for a while. They've saved people's lives for a long time, and now they're celebrating A Day, celebrating the Avengers. And then something terrible happens.
Terrorist attacks.
As they do,
And so how much do you know about the game itself? Because I've seen bits of leaked footage of the game.
Oh.
The gameplay, but it is horribly exposed. The video, you try and watch it and you can barely see what happens.
Okay.
But from what I know, it's meant to be like up to 4-player co-op or something like that. You all control a character: Iron Man, Hulk, Captain America, Black Widow, no Hawkeye, and Thor.
No Hawkeye. Yep.
Not that we know of.
Not that we've seen whatsoever. Yeah.
But from what I saw, Taskmaster is in it. So
I love Taskmaster. As a villain, he's an incredible side character. I really liked his role in the recent Spider-Man game as well.
Yeah.
Even though it was a little side quest, he was a really tough villain. It added an extra challenge. I think he's great, whatever he features in.
Well, he's in this. There's a scene on the bridge. There's explosions, things like that, and then Taskmaster walks out, and Black Widow's like, "Oh, Taskmaster," and says, "I'll deal with this one, guys. Don't worry." And runs at him, and but there isn't much to go on other than the trailer itself.
Yeah.
And the short talk from E3.
And a small little interview with the main characters, but everything they talked about so far, it feels like they've just kind of talked about the story, which it sounds interesting, but it's hard for them to win over people to something that's completely new, especially when the MCU has rooted itself so deep in people's hearts. People were really frustrated that it didn't look like the characters that they're familiar with. They were like, "What? I knew there was a new Avengers game, but I didn't know it was going to be like this."
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think they've got their work cut out for them with a brand new kind of game, but it worked for Spider-Man. People forget that game last year was completely new. That was something completely different. He was working alongside Doc Ock. There was a lot of things that went on in that. He was broken up with MJ, and he was kind of in his adult life. He'd already finished college. It wasn't the young origin story we're so familiar with. With this game, I think it is a little bit smart that they're taking it, a couple of years in the future. The Avengers are an established superhero team. They're celebrating a day that's dedicated to them. And
isn't it meant to be the start of the West Coast Avengers? Is that what it's going to be? Because
the trailer that was shown at E3 was taking place in the West Coast.
Yeah, was it San Francisco?
San Francisco, I believe, yeah. And it was the Golden Gate Bridge that got blown up.
Yeah, I think it was, yeah.
But I mean, it's certainly a different route. It's something that we haven't seen before, and I'm kind of excited about it. A lot of people are a little bit miffed that Hawkeye wasn't in it. But who knows? Maybe he was killed off in the years before this, so you never know. But I think certainly what I got from the trailers and then from the different things that I watched afterwards, I feel like they're going to introduce a lot of other superhero cameos, even if it's not playable characters. So there's going to be a lot of other characters that we're going to get introduced to. So I think that's going to be good.
And it is definitely a different route to the MCU films, because like we see now, you've got Professor Hulk, but in the game, he's still the raging Hulk that everyone knows. You know?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it's not a game that I've put on pre-order just yet.
No.
I wanna see a couple more trailers come out. I want to learn a little bit more about it, and I want to get excited about it. So right now, there's a lot of potential, but you know, I haven't really fallen head over heels for it just yet. What did you think of E3?
Disappointment, really. There was one or two highlights that I really liked.
Yeah.
So the games that I'm looking forward to, Cyberpunk. Is I mean, Keanu Reeves introducing that, the breathtaking whole thing. It was amazing. I'm really looking forward to that. I quite like my RPGs, you see, as you see.
Yeah.
So Cyberpunk, as I said, there's Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, which try saying that 10 times over. So they released Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines Uno back in 2003, something like that, which never really got finished, and then the mod community picked it up and pretty much completed it, and well, it was a finished game, but it was pretty broken because it's an early RPG, which looks really cool. So that's
what console is that going to?
So I believe that's going to be PC and hopefully current generation, so Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Could
cool.
possibly be next gen as well.
You know, vampires are due to make a comeback, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, after Twilight, they kind of just got killed off, you know. But
what a disappointment. And there were some, like, really good shows before that, too, that had some stuff.
Yeah.
What was it, like True Blood? True Blood was a pretty good show. That took off.
So you had True Blood, the UK series of Being Human. You had the Blade films.
Yeah.
Who could forget Buffy the Vampire Slayer, one of my favourite series. Still currently getting through it.
Yeah.
And rewatching it. And the spin-off series to Buffy. Some people actually prefer Angel, which is about Buffy's boyfriend moving to LA, Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Dealing with his life there, away from Sarah Michelle Gellar. Which must be a hard thing for him, really.
I mean, anyone would struggle.
Another game that I'm excited for is Baldur's Gate 3. Which is going to be crazy. So Baldur's Gate was massive D&D based game in the late 90s, early 2000s, I think. I'm trying to remember I think it was like 99 was Baldur's Gate 2, I think.
Yeah.
And especially in the RPG community, it was phenomenal. The games were pretty much directly taken from the D&D rules, and it was set within there's a city called Baldur's Gate. The trailer of it shows looks like a Crown's Guard or something as he begins to transform into a Mind Flayer, which are these crazy time traveling, telekinetic, telepathic overlords of the Underdark or the Deep, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's because it's been 20 years since there's been a Baldur's Gate game, and there's been
whole life.
Yeah. It's crazy that hopefully it's making a comeback, especially in the mainstream. Nintendo? What do you think of Nintendo?
I mean, for me, you know, E3, like you said, it was a bit of a disappointment. I think the whole thing, I just kind of wanted to see the stuff from Nintendo, and then also the stuff about the Avengers games. Yeah. So the Avengers, obviously that was kind of interesting, but with Nintendo, that was where I kind of like, you know, got the most excited, because I'm really, really big fan of the Pokemon games.
Yeah.
So Sword and Shield are, you know, two huge topics of conversation right now. Everybody's talking about it. People are getting out and playing on Pokemon Go again because it's summer and people want to go outside and do it. Have you downloaded it yet?
Nope. I'll download it right now for you.
Dang.
Well,
but I mean, with Pokemon Sword and Shield, we got the Direct, we got the announcement at E3, and we got to see some pretty cool features for the Pokemon games. I mean, obviously, this is going to be the first time a Pokemon game gets to appear properly on a television, aside from, I mean, if you're counting the arena games or the tournament or the Rumble games.
Pokemon Stadium.
But this is the first kind of, like, you know, typical RPG, like the old school games, like, you know, Yellow and Red and Blue. And that's going to be on TV.
Yeah.
And we've got 3D kind of characters. We've got them running around in an open world space. A lot of people have compared it to Breath of the Wild. That is exactly what I thought of when I saw him walking around in the main landscape. You know, it really looks like it's going to be a whole new experience for Pokemon games.
Yeah, which should be real interesting. I mean, Pokemon it's another. It's just massive, isn't it? It's massive everywhere.
It's huge. I mean, it's all over TV. Obviously, it was something that like I grew up with watching Pokemon and then playing the card game, and then it also was all over the consoles, so I could do that. Came out in cinema with the movies, and I went and watched those. And then like it's just, you know, gone from strength to strength. And then I think it's 3 years old now, Pokemon Go. You know, and it flew.
Yeah, that's not that fast.
I mean, Pokemon Go came out, and that was completely new for the whole Pokemon company, I think, because they had never had it on just like a mobile platform before, and now it's something that they're really, really engaging with, because I think what's happened was over the entire existence of Pokemon, I think it's something like either 20 or 25 years old. It's made so much revenue over that time, but Pokemon Go in just its last 3 years has made 5% of the entire revenue of Pokemon company's entire existence. Damn. That includes the video games, that includes the trading cards, that includes the movies, that includes every single product from Pokemon. Pokemon Go has brought in 5% of their revenue.
God, that's mental.
It's insane.
And there's going to be a lot of sort of crossover stuff with other Pokemon games with Sword and Shield, right? With Pokemon Go, you're going to be able to get your Pokemon from the game onto Sword and Shield?
Absolutely. Right? Yeah, so just before Nintendo released their like Nintendo Direct that had a little bit of information about the Pokemon thing, I realized that apparently the company had like a conference where obviously they reach out to, I think it's investors or different things like that, where they're kind of explaining the projects that they have coming up to try and get people excited and to engage with their company. And so that was the first time that I heard about things like Pokemon Home, which is going to be the new platform. Some people might be familiar with Pokemon Bank. If you're a hardcore Pokemon player, you would have played the old games. You would have been able to upload your Pokemon from any of the from I think it's like the 5th generation Pokemon games onwards into the Pokemon Bank, and then you could transfer them between different games. Pokemon Home is going to do the same thing, but instead of it just being present on like the DS and also on a computer to be able to check in, you're going to be able to download it as a mobile app. So now you'll be able to transfer your Pokemon from your phone, from your Pokemon Go account, from your Switch on Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and then also onto the new games, Sword and Shield. And then you can also transfer Pokemon in from Pokemon Bank. So I mean, it's going to be a really, really interesting interactive thing, but unfortunately, this has also been the cause of a lot of controversy, because a lot of people have been really upset because Nintendo, I think, have announced that in the new Pokemon game, they'll only be having the Pokemon that are present within this new Galore region available in the game. So there's going to be no national dex, which means they're not going to be introducing some of the old Pokemon.
Yeah.
Out of their, 800 and whatever strong bank of Pokemon that they have right now, and then however many new ones are coming in with this game, they're going to be cutting down those numbers. Well, this is the thing. A lot of people are confused about it because they weren't really sure what's happening. A lot of people have been releasing memes and making new things with like all these border patrol things about the Pokemon trying to get into the Galar region.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have made like even memes about like the whole Thanos snap, whereas like just half of the Pokemon are disappearing.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be anything like that. I'm pretty sure the whole first generation Pokemon are safe. Because obviously the generation of people that they've gotten into it through not only Pokemon Go, which is the mobile game which has brought in so many people and so much revenue, but also with Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, is the first generation of Pokemon. So I think most, if not all of those, will be coming across into the game, I would expect.
Yeah,
because that's what people are familiar with.
I've said to you when we've spoken about Pokemon before that for me, it's like gens like 1 to 3 is the ones I care about.
Yeah.
And I think the newer Pokemon, like White, I never really got into. And I don't know, just something I didn't pick up. And like you said, the Thanos snap with the Pokemon. There's certain ones like there's an ice cream.
Yeah.
There was like a 99 that turned into like a double flake, and I'm like, I don't care about whatever that Pokemon's called. Like,
Yep.
why would that exist? Why would you need that to exist? I wish they'd just go back to more mythological creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Things like Ho-Oh being legendary, rather. But you had things like Ninetales and all that,
Mm-hmm.
which are taken from Japanese folklore. I'd love them to show, with this one being, from what I've seen, the Galar region, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Is meant to be like the UK, sort
It
of.
is, yeah.
I would love to see things like maybe more dragon-looking Pokemon,
Mm-hmm.
things like giants, because you've got island, very prominent,
Mm-hmm.
fairies and things like that, because these are fairy type now as well. So I'd love to see British folklore being brought into that, or European folklore being brought into it.
Really, really interesting. Like, the thing is, with each Pokemon iteration, typically they try and follow a sort of template, which relates to like a real life place. With the original games being, was it Johto? Was Kanto the first region?
Yeah, Kanto.
So Kanto obviously is based off of Japan, you know, and then they progressed and they made certain ones, such as the ones which are based kind of off of French culture or European culture.
Yeah.
They've had just a couple of different ones. I think with Black and White, both of those were based off of kind of like a New York cityscape, and that was more the direction they were going with that one. And then with this one, it's going to be based kind of in the British region, and that's what they're going for. The only Pokemon that we've heard about that are like the new confirmed, apart from the 3 starters and apart from the legendaries, have been this new little sheep Pokemon, which is Wooloo. And that's, you know, just a funny looking kind of sheep that's going to be in it. And then we know that there's going to be a Corgi type Pokemon, like a Corgi Pokemon called Yamper. Okay. And then there's also going to be, I think it's one more kind of like dog Pokemon, but a typically British dog, you know? So I think they are going to try and incorporate it.
There's like a Scotty and a Westie, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much for listening. We've had a great time, and hopefully you have as well. We'll be posting more content along our other social media platforms, things like that. So if you want to take a follow there, you'll be able to keep up to date with what we're doing. But yeah, just come check us out, and we'll be here hopefully every week. Well, we'll see you soon.
We keep up the schedule. We should do. We will do it. Don't worry.
Yeah. I'm not into schedules. Well, I guess I have one now.
Right.
See you soon.
Bye.